Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of our daily market review. Today, Wednesday, business of the day has officially ended, and we are here to assess the chart to see how the price action played by our expectations and the levels that we were looking at. So this is the daily for the dollar index, and yesterday, before I put out the market review, I stated that I like the fact that the Tuesday's candle took out the high of Monday and is staying within the Monday's range. And then I also explained that I wanted to see on the H1 price stay in the range and not show any willingness to go higher or break above the daily fair value gap that has been left here to see dollar come down to take out this sell side liquidity and to the mid portion, and if possible, and where there is momentum, run for this. And then also I stated that if dollar is to reject by close of day today, I want to see dollar close above this fair value gap, and that's exactly what we have seen today. Rejected and has closed on the daily above this fair value gap. This is a great indication. Also closing above the previous day's high, the close, and also Monday's high. This is a strong indication that the dollar is really poised to chasing higher prices or perhaps the buy side liquidity here. So on the dailies, my expectation moving forward would be for price to use this fair value gap here as support for higher prices, right? So let's go down to the H4, see what we have. All right, so this is it. This is the rejection. When I was doing the video, this was a down candle. This was it. Price actually came down. This held. And then now we have come back to close above the down closing candles and also above this level, leaving this fair value gap here. So the expectation is for price to use this level as support for continuation higher. It makes sense because we have an H4 fair value gap here. So it's a combination of two fair value gaps. This is an inverse gap. Inverse gap. And then also I'll make available the H4 fair value gap. Yeah. So we have an area of strong confluence for the dollar to use as support. So this is the area I will expect price to bounce off of moving up tomorrow. And now also the one thing that I would like to point out to you is that yesterday there was not much of clarity, but today there is sort of clarity looking at how the dollar closed. It's actually tipping that it wants to expand higher, making it somewhat easier to trade for the rest of the trading week. So the best thing to do usually, as you have seen, is to wait for market to tip its own hand as to whatever it wants to do once the market is not too clear. On the H1, yeah, this low, this high, this is where I would expect this is a hanging low, could be used as an internal range liquidity for higher prices. So that would expect price to react here, and then on the M15, when I see bullish price action, bullish signal forming, that is when I will engage price for higher. If possible, come for these equal highs that was marked yesterday and then also perhaps mid portion of the opening gap that was left the previous weeks. So for euro, this was the expectation for price to to stay within the range and then move on to take out this. That didn't happen. As you can see, the fair value gap here held price, and now we've expanded lower. Let me switch to the daily, see what's going on there. Yeah, so price is closing below this fair value gap. Now invest, closing very bearishly above below the previous day's close and high. And so tomorrow, same way, perhaps this would be a near-term target. Then this would be the next. I hope it makes sense for us to target them as we go on. So on the H4, let's see where we are likely to. We have an H4 fair value gap here. So if we see price coming up here, would expect some sort of reaction for a continuation. On the H1, let's see how it does. Yes, we have this year's forming 7 as an OB, and so if we see a reaction off of that, that would be very nice for tomorrow's trading day. Perhaps I think there's a news for tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow in the morning there's Euro and GBP news. So let's see how this goes. If this setup is going to form during London or not. Since there's no news for the USD, I should think that this one should be forming around London within the London hours. So what I'll be looking for would be price rejection. This is a high that can be used as internal ring liquidity. So I want to see price reject and form. Honestly, price take out this reject and then start giving bearish signals in form of price action. That'll be it for Euro USD. For cable, we actually failed because I think because of the news for cable tomorrow, cable was held, never moved for the whole day. Let's see for the daily. Cable was held in a range as the dollar and the euro was moving, cable was held in a range. So I think perhaps the move for cable will follow tomorrow during London. We'll see how that goes, but I'd love to end here. Let me see if we have anything. So far, nothing really makes sense. Let me see on the H1. There hasn't been any liquidity sweep, and so it's difficult. It's possible that we can come back to sweep out this the highs, and then maybe form, or we can just break down like that. But this is still there. It remains a support level. It would be nice to see something like this form for downside, given the strength that is showing in the dollar. So let's look out for I think in the meantime Euro USD is much more clearer, so we'll stick to that. I don't know if anybody would be trading this, but just one thing I'll say is look out for whatever price action that would form, and then perhaps trade-off of that. Let's see for the Swissy. Today I had a trade on Swissy, but I closed it because I had not planned for it. Swissy is also closing very, very well. Above this on the H4, got in when this candle was actually pulling back, but I'll show you the setup. So I got in on this candle. See, got in on this candle. The reason I actually closed this was the stop loss. It was way too long. It was way too off. I think the 2R was here. But the first target was going to be these highs. But I felt that the stop loss was way too high. So I had no option to keep it. I had no reason, very good reason to keep it. So I waited for some few, about 30, 40 minutes when took out this high. And then I closed the trade. It's around, I think it was closed the trade right around this area. Yeah. And it was all because of the stop loss. I initially had it here, but I still changed my mind. And that's because I hadn't planned prior to the trading day that I was going to take this, because I felt I was struggling, and so it was not worth my time. I closed it, and then I closed and left the chat. So God willing, tomorrow, the new day, we are having a very nice pullback and rejection here. I would love to see price close above that for continuation. Let's see what we have on the H4. Yeah, that's a rejection. Let's see for the daily. Of course, to be nice, this is nice rejection we are seeing there. H4, H1. Yeah, that's a very nice rejection. This is a very nice rejection. Maybe if price fails to close above this, we can come back and take out this high one more time. Sorry, this low one more time before continuation. Anything at all can happen. Otherwise, we can just leave this low intact, close above this high, and then continue like that, right? So I would end the video here. I hope this is insightful and helpful enough. I would say to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, share if you have to share. Thank you. See you some other time.